a week or so and go play some baseball and get in softball and get some games in. We'll talk to Gary in just a minute. And we will have, of course, your Joe Dickey Electric, What's Your Spark, presented by our friends at Joe Dickey Electric and DickeyElectric.com. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, again, cannot stress, cancer survivor. He survived a season of football with me in the booth. He survived several years of baseball coaching as well as football coaching. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we bring in the living legend, Gary Knittle. What's up, G? How are you, pal?
I don't know if you could see what was going on while you were introducing me, but I got kicked out of our facility by the softball team. So I was all
just
set
said,
up
"Get the hell out of here."
This is how we roll in Canfield. It was their time, but I told you I'd get on at 3. They had a rough one yesterday. Dealing with Sid, and they were kind of having a group session. Coaches taking responsibility and so forth. And Coach Kernan, we're tight out here, and he came upstairs and he was going to do powwows individually with the players. I'm like, I'm doing I'm doing coach's corner. And he's like, oh. And I'm like, I'll get out of here. So I came outside. I'm in my car right now. But this is how we roll. He's like, no, you're good. I'm like, we can do it in the background. But
what car are you in? Because you have had a long string of bad luck going on right now there, Mr. Knittle.
Yeah, I am in my father's car. And I will be in this car for at least 2 more days until we figure out whether we're going to get a new car. Thanks for throwing that out there for everyone. I had a car just die on me on 76 a couple days ago. But the good news is yesterday was a great opener. We'll hop right into it. And I know
it's your show. Lead it. You just take it away. I'll answer questions for you.
I could sit here. I haven't got to talk to you for a while. So this is kind of like us just talking anyway. But
that's it.
But you survived me during football. Let's be honest here. It wasn't the other way around. Now I can talk. I over talk way too much. I learned my lesson that year. But we are a young group, and going into yesterday, Fitch has 12 seniors. Their seasoned group. Unfortunately for Mason Petritas, I love the young man and his arm issues, so we were kind of gearing up for that, but we knew a couple weeks ago that, he wasn't going to be able to throw this year. And I was talking to him and their coaches and that's a shame because he works extremely hard. And, if anyone deserves, a great season, the good news is, and the bad news for Canfield is he's only a junior. So, he has a senior year. Hopefully everything works out. But, we have 2 seniors, and that's since I've been here as an assistant or as a head coach, that's unheard of.
Talk about those seniors. I mean, those guys that are going to be captaining this ship. I mean, they've been troopers for you the whole way.
Yeah. Well, we win yesterday 2-0 because of one of those seniors, and that was Michael Patelis. Just went out and was a dog on the mound. I mean, he gave us 6 innings. We would have been happy with 5. But he kept his pitch count down. He pitched extremely well, limited the walks, got through the 6th. And then we went to our junior, who's never pitched in a varsity game in Zane Jadala, and he came in and closed the door. The other senior is going to be Trent Rarick, who's a left-handed pitcher. We're going to depend on him because I know I spoke to you earlier. We lost our number 2 for I don't know how long, and our 2 and our 3. Noah Anzavino, who threw a lot of innings for us last year. He's been having some shoulder issues, so we're trying to get him right. And then yesterday, Ryan Weibling, a freshman, who's going to be that's a name you're going to hear for the next 4 years. He did something to his hip in the game. He was started in left field, and we're not sure. The trainer for Fitch thinks it may be a broken hip. He had x-rays today. They came back negative, but he's going to have to get an MRI. Could be a labrum. So we're keeping our fingers crossed with him. But yeah, I will tell you what, this is my 26th year coaching, and this has been probably the most fun. We've had the dudes. We've had the Vital Cheeses of the world, the Shaws, the energy guys, Petros. I'm leaving out a million people. But this freshman group that we got, it's fun to coach. They are sponges. They listen. they're getting thrown into the fire. I mean, we had 5 freshmen playing yesterday. Freshman shortstop, 2 freshmen in the outfield. You know, uh, we had a freshman at third at one point. Freshman at first. They are go-getters. They're competitors. They work extremely hard, and they deserve everything that they're going to have over these next 4 years. And I can't wait to follow them for the next 4 years.
Is this a situation where,
young and dumb? Yes.
Well, I mean, you hear about it all the time in the major leagues and the minors. Is they're just young enough and inexperienced enough not to know the gravity of the situations. I mean, for a coach, for somebody that's coached for 26 years, is that something that you're like, okay, I invite this, but I mean, you're getting as much baptism by fire as they are at this point, right?
Yeah. I mean, we open up with Fitch in league. I mean, come on, at their place. Like, and it's always a dogfight with Fitch. It is what it is. And they answered the bell. I mean, it was all underclassmen. Patelis on the mound, but the rest of it was all underclassmen. Tanner Stricko had a triple to the wall that scored the first run, who was a sophomore, and Enzo Coco, who can run like a deer. And then Zane Jadala hits a sac fly, and those are the 2 runs that Michael made stand up. But yeah, the young and dumb, but they, like I said, I've known these kids for years. I've watched them come through Canfield, and I know some of the families. And, I knew what we were getting this year. Coach Gabriel from Boardman, it's his son, is our starting shortstop as a freshman.
Yeah.
And I played with Coach Gabriel. And so I know the type of players that we're getting. They're going to be coached well. They're going to be, taught the game of baseball. They're going to respect the game, and they're going to work hard. And that's all we ask out of all of our players is, what people don't understand. I talk to some parents, and this might come off as however you want to look at it, but we've been going at it since September. And some of my colleagues that I teach with, their kids are at different schools. I'm not going to say names, but some of them haven't started practice till January. Some don't practice on Fridays, Saturdays. Some are just playing wiffle ball. I'm hearing and I'm just sitting there. Like, one school, I was told by one of their players, they didn't figure out varsity or JV till opening day, and they didn't put bunt coverages in. They didn't. And when I hear these things, it just I find it shocking. I just think we're so dedicated as a staff here at Canfield that we prepare our kids, and that's a tribute to my coaching staff, not to me. I put it on our staffs. We lose Rick Havrilla, who was the assistant coach of the year in the state of Ohio last year, because he's getting to watch his boys play, which is awesome. But we bring in, Danny Stricko, who, let's see, he was the Australian national coach for a year. The pitching coach at Youngstown State back when, Hennessy and those guys were thrown and got drafted. We're fortunate that we keep reloading, and we have guys that are willing to come with me and, take it. We bring Andrew Sabella up to varsity, who's been our JV guy for the last couple of years. He's ready. It's awesome. I mean, it really is. I can't speak highly enough of my staff and my kids, and, they deserve all the credit. I'm just I sit behind, I put a lineup together, and they execute. So
you're old and dumb, right? That's if they're young and dumb, you're old and dumb.
At this point, I'm old and dumb, 100%. I'm still doing this. There's something wrong.
So, all right. So I've got to ask you a question, because you and I talk, obviously, from a standpoint of just being friends. We talk a lot. There is a really weird concept going on in the state of Ohio that coaches, manage, whatever you want to call yourself, you guys are judged by state championships. And in the state of Ohio, they only give out a handful of those state championships at the end of the year. What I would argue, and I would argue this to anybody, is that you, my friend, and your coaching staff and the community of Canfield have put out more college baseball players than anybody that I can recall in this area, whether the YSN community or otherwise. That, to me, should be the grading system of how a job has been done. And you and your staff have done an incredible job of putting those young men in a position to play at the next level, whether it be D3, JUCO, D2, D1, whatever it may be. But the most important thing to you always has been, and would imagine always will be getting that secondary education so they can have a better life for themselves. What do you see when you think about, okay, check the box, this season was successful, this season wasn't? What do you kind of determine your success based on of that kind of narrative?
That's a great question. And you know, I got into coaching. It wasn't my first love. You know this story. I was going into broadcasting. I was, you know, my first degree was in broadcasting. I got done playing baseball and had the opportunity. Corey Gregorino was the head coach at Springfield. Bob Beam, Joe Gabriel, and Mark Yakoboviak asked me to come out and help out. And I started helping out. And the parents there were like, "You're a great teacher. Like, you need to go into education." And I thought, there's no money in that. You know, what am I going to do? Before you know it, I'm signing up at Youngstown State, finish my 2 years. I get in education and continue to coach as an assistant, kind of learn through some great mentors, Dan Zolik at South Range. I had a year at Solon, and I got to work with Jim Tomey and Johnny Mack. And, you know, the love for the game, it's something I've done my entire life, and I wanted to give back. And I'm going to tell you, somebody now that doesn't get a lot of credit is Kenny Turpak at Camel. He took over that program because it's his alma mater, and he's just giving his time. He is one of those coaches that he's a rare guy. He will give his rest of his life. Baseball was good to him, so he's giving it all back. And I learned a lot from Kenny. And my thing was, if they want to play at the next level, we'll get you to the next level. But you got to meet me halfway. You know, you put the time in, you put the work in. It makes it real easy for me to make a call and say, hey, whether it's D2, D1, JUCO, like you were saying, if they want to play, I'll find a spot for you. And we've been blessed. We've got 15 kids right now that are still playing collegiately, which, like you said, I've looked around. You know, Akron Hoban's knocking on that door because they're getting there. But yeah, 15 kids for a small, I mean, D2 school. We're not D1. So I take pride in that. I do. I want the kids to succeed. It is not about wins and losses. And I really mean that. And I know, you know, I mean that. When I won Coach of the Year a couple of years ago, they asked, how many wins do I have? And, you know, they wanted all this information. And for those that don't know, I was, my first head coaching job was at Liberty, and it was a program that didn't have any wins that I took over. And we had to learn on the fly. And by the time I got done, and after my 6 years there, we had won 20 games. But I had no idea what my record was at Liberty when I came to Canfield. So I had to go in the archives where I work and try to figure that out, and then add in what we had here at Canfield. And it doesn't mean anything. I didn't know. So it really is the truth. Like, I love the game, and I want the kids to succeed, and I'll do whatever's in my power to give them that opportunity.
And you've done it so well for so long.
Appreciate it.
And you know, obviously, you know, you and I have both awesome haircuts to prove our experience, as I like to say. But given that experience, you've been able to watch some of your kids move on and go watch them play at the places they are. One of the guys right now that is just lighting the world on fire, Landon Vital Cheese, who you know, nicknamed the Big Cheese here on YSN. We're seeing him do great things. When you're able to watch the kids that you coached,
love it,
on TV or streaming or whatever that is, what does that mean to you? And what stirs up inside of you when you're kind of, I mean, are you still analyzing them, or are you just kind of a fan at that point?
I talk to Cheese. You know, I'll give him something before a start. And then however it goes, you know, great job, way to pound the zone, you know. And I'm watching on ESPN. Like, it's so, like, surreal at times. You know, he's pitching against Arizona State. You know, he's got starts against Cal. Like, I mean, how could you not love it? It's a joy. You know, AJ Havrilla as a freshman is playing down at Marshall. You know, it's, you know, Nate Shaw is doing, he went out to pitch at Wright State, and you're gonna love this one. So I get a text about a week and a half ago from Nate. He's like, Coach, now this is the family that we have at Canfield. Nate Shaw took my son under his wing, and Nate Shaw is my son's biggest hero. So before Nate left, he gave my son his glove that he used or every start in Canfield and gave it to my son. And my son has been using it. Nate reaches out to me a week and a half ago and says, Coach, I hate to do this, but they want me to work out with the shortstops because we've had some injuries. Can I get my glove back? And I said, yeah, we'll get it to you. I shipped it out to him. I'd never shipped his glove out last Wednesday. And he just got it, and now he's working with the infant. I love it. I love that they, I got the opportunity to go see Landon in the Cape Cod, which has been a dream of mine. And anyone that hasn't gone out there, oh my God, is it worth it? And I got to take my son. He got autographs from all these guys that are going to be pros, down the road. And, these are the experiences. That's what I get out of this, when these guys, and it doesn't have to be Landon at a Division I school. I watch Ricky at Tiffin. We've went up there. I went to his first pitch, Ricky Havrilla. We went on a trip down to Tennessee with Rick to go watch, some games in 30-degree weather. We froze our rear ends off. But that's what I enjoy the most, is when I can sit back and watch the fruits of our labor. Like, that I played a small role. Landon Vital Cheese was going to be Landon Vital Cheese. It wasn't because of me. But I think we got him prepared mentally, for what to expect at Ohio State, and he's exceeded every expectation.
When
so
you,
yes, it's awesome.
So yes, long story
Yeah.
into a yes.
Love it.
So, I mean, look at it outside today. I mean, you guys are trying to play your first home game of the season today was scheduled, right?
Yeah.
Ain't happening.
Not for the break. No.
Along with anybody, right? Nobody's playing today. Even if you have turf, you're not playing. So that leads me into...
we were supposed to play there. Fitch. It's 100% chance of rain. I talked to Coach Paris. I said, let's play this when there's no rain. We tried that 2 years ago, if you remember.
I do.
And I said, I don't want to relive that. That was with Landon on the mound, and he was throwing 90 plus, and the balls were going. I mean, they were soaking wet. And I said, I don't want to do that. Let's do it the right way. So we both agreed we're gonna make it up on Thursday.
And that's good. Yeah, Thursday's good.
Absolutely.
I will be on my way to Myrtle Beach on Thursday.
Right behind you, buddy.
I know.
Right behind you.
So for you, and there's so many different takes on this, and you and I have gone, I don't want to say rounds, because I think we're on the same side on this, to be able to go to a different state at this point in the year during spring break, right? Mm-hmm. And get games in. Almost guaranteed games. I say almost guaranteed because we've seen games canceled because they do get rain in South Carolina. Yeah. But for you to get these games and to go on these trips, there's so many different things that it can do to help your team other than just get games in. What are some of those things? What are the advantages, do you think, of having these trips for baseball and softball this time of year?
Unlimited. I mean, number one, we're getting games in. We looked at the weather in Myrtle, and it's looking better, Deej, each and every day.
Yeah.
It's going to be 25 degrees warmer down there. It's, it's looking 70 to 75. We're here, we're going to have rain in 45. That's good. But more importantly for us, and if you asked any of my players, you saw us, the Beach Boys a couple years ago, like, it is such they will make memories from that trip. And I have kids that have come back and told me, hey, Coach, like, I'll never forget this. And do you remember when we threw the sand on Coach Morrell in the shower? And, just crazy stuff that they're never going to forget. You're going to forget a lot of things from your high school days. I remember we went on a trip our senior year at Boardman, and I was just with Jason Treveri and a bunch of the guys and Joe Gabriel, and just talking about that trip and the things that went on that trip. The camaraderie, they build each other. They're living, we live in a house. So it's not like they have separate rooms and hotel rooms. They're all in a house together, and you're kind of forced to learn about each other. The good, the bad, the ugly, who stinks the most, who doesn't shower. More than I'd like to admit. But, they get a sense of each other, and that's important in any sport, is playing for your teammate, and that's what this group, we're young and we're going to make mistakes, but those guys pick each other up, and I love it. So I think it's endless. I think it's a absolute must if you can do it. It's not cheap. We're fortunate that we have a booster club that pays for it, and and we're able to do it. But if you have the means and you have the time and you're able to do it, I would highly recommend it.
Is JMO on staff this year?
He's not.
Okay, I was gonna say,
he's football focused. We were gonna bring him down this year. We were
just as the live entertainment,
just because. And it's still not out of the realm. We got a couple days. I might be able to convince him.
Come on, JMO.
We'll see. It's been thrown out there. But yeah, we got a lot of new guys on staff. We got some young guys that are hungry too, like Jason Treveri, his son, who's just left YSU's program, is doing an awesome job with Nate Fleming, who's 2 Boardman grads. Got him on Canfield staff.
Just for you,
just saying, I'm a Boardman grad too, so it's kind of one of those things. I've had a lot of success with those guys. Chance Merlin, who's a Canfield grad, he'll be down there. He's on our staff, who played at Lake Erie.
The Wizard.
It's just, we're fortunate. Like I said, Matt Weimer, we haven't even talked about Matt yet. He's a pitching genius. I mean, yesterday, the game that he called was, look at his numbers here the last 3 years. Our team ERA is like under 1. I mean, yeah, we've had some arms, but you still got to call a game, and he does it better than anyone else.
Weimer's a stud.
He's
an absolute gem. I mean, you always, and I guess that's the difference, right? When you talk about leadership, you read books, you listen to motivational stuff about leaders. Yeah. Leaders attract other leaders, right? And they create other leaders. They're not trying to create followers. So when you have these great staffs, people are like, oh, well, it's not Knittle, it's the staff. But you attract those guys.
Maybe. No, like, okay, I get where you're going with that, but it's also
come on in.
They got to be willing to,
That's true.
We talked before I bring we've had guys that wanted to come on staff, and I don't think it was the right fit. And because they were great minds of baseball, but just not. I'm a very hands-off guy. There is a Fitch guy in the board staff.
I think I know who that is.
Coach Games. But it has to be the right fit. It really does. You got to understand how these kids in Canfield are. You need to understand what our expectations are. And like I say, when I'm hands off, I give, Coach Weimer is the pitching guy. And I've done this with Coach O'Brien when we had him before OB. He's in charge of pitching, and I really don't overstep that. I don't think that's a manager's job. Andrew Sabella works with hitters and outfielders, and Coach Stricko's infield guy and works with hit. Like, they all have a job, and I give them the leeway, like, do what's best, like, and they can focus on that, as opposed to everyone just kind of, all over the place. And our kids respect that. I really think that, because they're focused on one area, and we're not just kind of, now every once in a while, I got to make a decision that, Coach Weimer, believe me, we don't agree on everything.
Yep.
Because it's kind of old school, new school. He's still on that new school, or old, I'm old school. He's kind of a little more new school. But when it's all said and done, we all respect each other, and we respect each other's opinions. And it's an 8-person. I don't make all the decisions, and it's an 8-person decision.
And you go and awesome. you eat chicken wings and gas up the bus, and the
Fricker. Funny story, and this is a quick one, because I know you got to probably get out here, but we're heading back up to Defiance. We're going back up there for a PBR event this year. And the guy, I asked him, it's going to be a late trip, so we got to stop on the way back. And I said, can you give me any recommendations? And he comes back with Frickers to start with.
No.
And I stopped him. I said, no, something. He goes, B-dubs. And then he mentioned this Gateway Grill or something. I said, we're going Gateway Grill. And he's like, what's wrong with Frickers? So he calls me on the phone. It's the head of the PBR. We're talking about how bad you were on that bus.
Oh,
it was 3-4 days of cleansing to get Frickers out of
I think they.
It was great
they
going down.
They had to put that bus out of commission.
It was bad.
That was a bad experience. And the
that was
smells.
A long trip. I still get it. Ugh.
Awful, dude. I cannot thank you enough for stopping by. You're one of my favorite people in this world, not just baseball coaches.
You too, brother.
Just humans. And publicly, I know we've talked about it on the show before. I'm so freaking proud of you, man, for what you've overcome, the adversity that you faced, and you never blinked. People don't know that about you all the time, and I'm so grateful that you're in my circle of friends and that you're in my life. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep killing it.
Hey, vice versa, man. You're an inspiration to a lot of people in this area, including myself. Yeah, see, now you blush. It's easy when you start throwing things my way, but I start throwing stuff back, and you get that.
Doesn't work that way. This isn't your show, Nitz.
Yeah, well,
this isn't your show. Get the hell out of here.
30 minutes. I'm getting my money's worth, buddy.
Dude, go have fun. I know you got some meetings to tend to. Thanks for taking some time out for us today.
Absolutely. Love it, Deej. See you, Myrtle.
You got it. Later. There he goes, Gary Knittle. Again, one of the greatest human beings you're ever going to meet. I will take that to my grave. Anytime we need him, anytime we want to talk to him, anytime there's an opportunity to talk up one of his kids, whether it's past, present, or future, he will always do it. So thanks to Gary Knittle